The first question I got on email has to do with that labor-leisure trade-off framework, and so let's explore that a little bit more. Here we've got a labor supply curve. I had a question: what is S? S is labor supply. Notice we've got hourly wage and the hours of labor. So this is a labor supply function that is derived from the labor-leisure framework application of the rational choice model. So let's just go to that rational choice model framework and then come back to this page. So here I've got an initial optimum, and notice I've got the drawing I had in class. We'll call M income. I think I might have called income Y. That's pretty normal. Anyway, notice that if we just think about 16 hours a day being your maximum, one could earn 16 times that wage rate if one worked all 16 hours, and they'd be up here having no leisure. But notice the slope of this line is the wage rate. The wage rate is the opportunity cost of one more hour of leisure. So in other words, to enter the workforce for one more hour, one is giving up 1 hour of leisure. Or if one better way to put it is if one decided to take another hour of leisure, they would be giving up the wages they could have earned in that hour. So the wage rate is the opportunity cost of leisure, and as the wage rate goes up, leisure becomes more expensive. So the substitution effect in the presence of a rising wage would have you take less leisure, but that means taking more, providing more labor to market. Labor, capital L, labor is equal to 16 minus leisure, small l. So that's pretty important to understand what's going on in this framework. So in that labor supply function, we're actually not mapping leisure hours, we're mapping labor hours. 16 minus small l leisure. All right, so what's happening? Remember that a decrease in the amount of leisure someone consumes is an increase in the labor they supply, and vice versa. So let's just look at a couple wage increases to see the possibilities here. Let's start with a wage rate, and I'll draw the new case in blue. And increased wage rate, so we're moving up along the supply curve. This will be, we'll call it cleverly 16 times W1, this higher wage. But notice now that leisure is getting more expensive, and let's suppose that the new tangency is something like so. Not a great drawing. It's the reason wasn't an art major. It's a small effect the way I've drawn it, but it's nevertheless one where notice that in the presence of leisure becoming more expensive, the wage rate going up, the opportunity cost of leisure goes up. The first wage rate is decreasing the amount of leisure this person consumes, and therefore increasing their work effort. Well, they get another wage increase, and it might not work out the same way, right? We could easily draw it. Let's suppose from here, now we've got a big jump, and we'll call that W2, being clever with my notation. And let's suppose that the new tangency was something like this, as it certainly could be, without violating any of our assumptions about people's choices. Well, notice here that increase in income is the net result of all that is an increase in leisure consumption. That would be a reduction in labor effort. So here a wage increase caused a reduction in work effort. And that has to be from the income effect, because look, I'll draw the substitution effect associated with that change. Again, not perfectly. Notice that the substitution effect would have the person consume less leisure and work more, but then that income effect would result in more leisure being consumed. And notice I've drawn here the case where the the composite good essentially, all our income is an inferior good. So you know, this wasn't the perfect drawing, but it gets the idea across that the income effect of a wage increase, if leisure is a normal good, the income effect associated with a wage increase causes a reduction in work effort. The substitution effect causes an increase in work effort. Well, now we go back to that first panel, and this now has become an easy problem. Notice that at wage rate 18, we get this weird backward bending supply curve. So at above $18 an hour, the income effect dominates the substitution effect, because we know if an increase in the wage rate results in a reduced work effort, that's an increase in leisure consumption. We know that would be the backward bend in the supply curve. On the other hand, if we have an increase in work effort that results from an increase in wage rate, well, that's the substitution effect dominating, right? They both always work opposite one another. The substitution effect would dominate if we have to get an upward sloping supply curve. The substitution effect would have to be dominating. An increase in the wage rate means you consume less of the now more expensive good, leisure, and that is to say, you work more. So that's what's going on here.